Marawi Lake Regulation Dam. This dam helps control the water level of Lake Lanao and supports the Agus hydroelectric power plants, which supply electricity to many areas in Mindanao. Aragon Dam, Cateel, Davao, Oriental. This dam helps provide irrigation water for farms and supports agriculture in the Cateel area. Manolo Fortich, Unit 1 Hydroelectric Power Plant, Santiago, Manolo Fortich, Bukidnon. This hydroelectric plant uses the flow of water to create renewable energy for Mindanao. Lake Mainit Hydroelectric Power Plant, Jabonga, Agusan del Norte. This project plans to use Lake Mainit's water to produce clean electricity and help meet the growing power needs of the region.
Lake Lanao, the second largest freshwater lake in the Philippines, is more than just a body of water. It is the heart of the Maranao people, a culture that calls itself the people of the lake. In 1978, the Marawi Lake Regulation Dam changed the lake forever. Constructed at Sadok, Marawi City, at the mouth of the Agus River, the lake's only natural outlet. The primary indigenous group affected by the Marawi Lake Regulation Dam is the Maranao people. They are predominantly Muslim and are one of the largest Islamic groups in the Philippines. The Marawi Lake Regulation Dam brought profound economic consequences to the Maranao community, from fisheries crisis, where water level variations destroyed breeding grounds of fish species, and agricultural damage, also resulting in livelihood loss. There is a positive aspect, which is the hydroelectric power generation, but Maranao communities pay higher electricity rates despite being the source of energy. In response to the dam's impacts, the Maranao people have organized themselves and implemented both community-based and government-supported adaptation strategies. They organized resistant advocacy, Save Lake Lanao movement, and Lanao claims against power plants. The government-supported mechanisms, which are Lake Lanao Watershed Protection and Development Council, established in March of 1992, then Lake Lanao Environmental Studies and Natural Resource SAS Management Center, lastly, Integrated Natural Resources and Environmental Management. They also did cultural preservation and resilience, where the adaptation without loss of ethnic identity and intergenerational knowledge transfer, also participating in decision-making processes.
The Aragon Dam, officially known as the Cateel River Irrigation Project, is one of the largest infrastructure initiatives in Mindanao. Spearheaded by the National Irrigation Administration, its primary objectives are to provide year-round irrigation to over 12,000 hectares of agricultural land and to serve as a crucial flood control mechanism for a region frequently battered by typhoons. The project is located in Cateel, Davao Oriental, with its main reservoir set to inundate several barangays situated along the Cateel River. This area is not just land. It is the ancestral domain of the Mandaya and Monobo indigenous peoples. For generations, these communities have relied on the river and the surrounding forests for their sustenance, culture, and spiritual well-being. The dam's construction directly impacts their homes, sacred grounds, and traditional livelihoods. From an economic development perspective, the dam is projected to create jobs during its construction and significantly increase rice yields for lowland farmers. However, for the affected Mandaya and Monobo communities, the economic impact is profoundly different. The submersion of their ancestral lands means the loss of their primary source of livelihood, the very foundation of their self-sufficiency. In response to this development, the indigenous peoples are coping through a combination of assertive action and difficult adaptations. They have actively engaged in the FPIC, demanding that their rights be recognized and their voices heard. Through dialogues, community organizing, and partnerships with civil society groups, they advocate for just compensation, culturally appropriate relocation sites, and a share in the project's benefits. Their struggle is not just about resisting a dam, it is a profound effort to preserve their cultural identity and secure a sustainable future for the next generation in the face of irreversible change.
Moving on to the Manolo Fortich Hydroelectric Power Plant, This project was developed by the Hydroelectric Corporation. It is located in Manolo Fortich, Bukidnon, with a combined capacity of around 68.8 megawatts. The project supplies renewable energy to the Mindanao grid while promoting sustainable power generation. It is located within the ancestral domain of the Higaonon indigenous people, whose lives and culture are closely linked to the surrounding natural resources. The project provided employment opportunities and supported livelihood programs for the local indigenous people, particularly during construction and operation phases. It also funded community development initiatives such as schools, health facilities, and infrastructure improvements. Through the FPIC agreements, the indigenous people receive royalties and benefit sharing from the project. However, the construction and operation of the plants led to restricted access to ancestral lands, affecting traditional farming, hunting, and fishing activities. The altered river flows and disturbances to culturally significant sites also impacted indigenous people's livelihood and practices. This highlights the need for continued mitigation and engagement of both the government and the indigenous people group. In summary, the Manolo Fortich hydroelectric power plants provide renewable energy and development benefits. However, it also poses challenges to the indigenous people, especially regarding land access, land rights, their livelihood, and their cultural practices.
The Lake Mainit Hydroelectric Power Plant is a run-off river project developed by Agusan Power Corporation, J-Power from Japan, and Phil Carbon Incorporation. It began operating in 2023 and produces about 24.9 megawatts of electricity. The plant uses the natural water flow from Lake Mainit to generate power, helping to improve energy stability across the Mindanao grid and promote sustainable development. This project is located in Barangay San Pablo, Jabonga, covering parts of the Lake Mainit watershed and extended to nearby towns like Mainit and Quecharao in Surigao del Norte. Many local residents rely on the lake for fishing, farming, and household use. The main indigenous groups affected by the project are the Mamanwa and Manubo peoples, whose ancestral lands are protected under the Indigenous People Rights Act or IPRA. Economically, the power plant has provided employment opportunities, improved access roads, and local government revenues, contributing to regional progresses. However, it also resulted in lower fish catches, changes in water flow, and loss of traditional livelihood. Some areas of cultural and spiritual importance were also affected, creating a balance that must be carefully managed between progress and heritage. The indigenous people are adapting by finding new sources of income, working together with NICP for fair consultation, and continuing to protect their culture and natural environment. All in all, the Lake Mainit Hydroelectric Power Plant helps advance renewable energy in Mindanao, but real development means respecting indigenous rights and ensuring that nature and culture are preserved for future generations.
All the dams presented represents a complicated challenge, balancing national energy needs with the rights and livelihoods of indigenous peoples. While the dam provides vital electricity to Mindanao, each one of the indigenous communities affected have borne the environmental and economic costs. Yet, through organized advocacy, community-based programs, and resilience, these indigenous communities continue to fight for their lake and their future, demonstrating that indigenous peoples are not passive victims, but active agents in shaping their own development.